Being a productive student is what sets you apart from all the other students. So if you're struggling to stay productive and you need help and tips, keep watching because I have the tips that you need to become that productive student that gets the work done. Hey everybody, my name is Inès and welcome back to my channel. I'm a fourth year kinesiology student at McMaster University, and because I'm a senior, I think I know a little bit about how to stay productive and get the work done. So keep watching if you want to find out my tips on how to be productive and stay productive so that you can get the work done. My first tip on how to be productive is get the rest you need. This is the most important part. If you are sleeping on average 4 to 5 hours as a student, there is no way to be truly productive and truly efficient. When you are well rested, your brain is alert, everything is working together, your body is in sync, and you are ready to be focused. You cannot be productive if every other minute you're thinking about the fact that you need a nap or you need some Red Bull or something to stay up. Caffeine is important. I do drink coffee, but you cannot rely solely on caffeine and poor sleep hygiene to be productive. It doesn't work together. You need to make sure that as a student, you're getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep a night. I know we all say this, but it goes easily ignored and you cannot ignore this step. My productivity is through the roof when I am well rested consistently. This isn't about 1 or 2 nights of good sleep just to be productive. This has to become a habit. You need to make it a habit to get sleep. You need to prioritize sleep. I've been there where you're just scrolling on TikTok on a random Wednesday until 4 a.m. in the morning. I've done it. Like, I'm guilty. I have done it. But you need to avoid this and you need to be sleeping a good amount. I'm not telling you that you have to sleep early and wake up early. I do it, but not everybody's like that. But what I am telling you is that you need to get a good amount of sleep because your sleep hygiene will set the tone for your productivity. Make sure you are getting that sleep. Make sure you are well rested every day to tackle on your days and be productive. When you're not trying to nap every other hour and when you're not falling asleep reading your notes, I promise the productivity increases exponentially. Get that rest, get the rest that you need to stay productive. And if you are tired on a longer day, because it happens on a long day, sometimes you will get tired, you can take a nap, but no more than 20 minutes. There are studies on this, people have talked about it. A 20-minute power nap is all you need. If you sleep more, you are actually going to end up in a sleep cycle and you're gonna wake up at a bad time and be in a bad mood and more tired than you were before you took your nap. I do not take more than 20-minute naps because I believe that if I'm going to nap, I cannot wake up more tired than I was already. So do take those power naps if you need to, but don't make it a habit. Just get the good sleep at night so that you can function all day without having to sleep 20 minutes in between your day. If there's one thing you're gonna take from this video, honestly, it's this first tip right here. It's to get that good sleep. Your productivity goes through the roof when you are well rested. I promise you, ask anybody, this is the key to being a productive student. My next tip for you is to give yourself the time to actually be productive. We talked about sleep, but now let's talk about actually giving yourself the time. If you have a to-do list that's 20 action items long, you cannot give yourself 4 hours to do all those 20 things. That's not how to be productive. What you're going to end up doing is that you're going to stress yourself, you're going to be overwhelmed, and you might even just shut down and not even get through a quarter of that list. Give yourself a reasonable amount of time. If I know that I have only 4 or 5 things to do today, but these 4 or 5 things are big things and they're gonna take time, I'm not gonna wait until the end of the day and give myself 4 hours at the end of the day to try to bang it all out before midnight or something. I give myself enough time to get the work done. If I know that I'm gonna need 8 hours or 7 hours to get the work done, then give yourself those 8 or 7 hours to get the work done. Do not procrastinate. Do not wait until 4 hours before you wanna go to bed or 3 hours and try to get it all done in a rush. Because when you're rushing through everything, chances are the quality of what you're doing isn't going to be good, and that will show in your grades, it will show in the feedback, it will show in your retention of information if you're studying. That's just not what you want. To be productive, you need to give yourself a good amount of time. It's not fair to yourself to let you scroll on social media for hours, chill with your friends for hours, do basically nothing for hours, but when it comes to the important stuff, the reason why you're in uni, if you're only giving yourself 2, 3, or 4 hours to do that, when you know that you have a lot of things to do, it's not fair. Give yourself the time. Give yourself that time. It is very, very important. And along with giving yourself time, create a routine. If you're not creating a routine for yourself, you will waste your time. If you do not create a routine for yourself, you're going to waste your time because you're going to have all this time that you've allotted for yourself, but you're not going to use it efficiently. Part of being productive is being smart and using your time efficiently. And with efficiency comes a routine. I like to time block my time on Google Calendar. I'm a huge fan of Google Calendar. That is what I use religiously. I can show you guys how I organize my Google Calendar in another video, but until then, just make sure you have a routine and a realistic one, all right? A realistic routine is telling yourself that you have about 8 hours in a day to do so-and-so work, but you break it up into maybe 2 4-hour blocks because you know that you do not want to sit down for 8 hours straight to do all this work if you give yourself 4 hours in the morning and then 4 hours midday to get it done. That is realistic. Another realistic thing is including breaks, and I'm talking real breaks. If you know that you're going to give yourself 8 hours to study from home today and you didn't make food and you want to cook, don't create a study plan or a routine or a schedule that doesn't include cooking. Be realistic. That is how you be realistic and you have a good schedule. If I know that I want to cook, I'm going to give myself that 1 hour or 45-minute break to make a lunch or make a dinner and still keep going. Because what happens if you don't do this is you're going to tell yourself, okay, I have 8 hours to do all these things today, but you're not factoring that you need to cook or that you may have a meeting or two in between that time. Oh, you need to do some laundry because you have no clothes. If you are not including these things in your schedule and when you want to do them, you are going to end up wasting your time, because that 8 hours that you may have told yourself you were going to use to study is now taken from you have to do a meeting, you have to do this, you need to cook, you need to make yourself a snack, you have to go pick something up. And next thing you know, in reality, the 8 hours that you allotted yourself actually becomes 4, 5, or 6 hours, which wasn't enough to do the work. So make sure you are creating a routine for yourself. Time block things, make those routines. They help in being productive. I just don't know a single person personally that doesn't work on a schedule or a routine and really makes it out. The first thing I tell people is to get rest, and I also tell them make sure you have a routine and you have enough time to actually be productive, because if you don't, you're just going to be stressed. Okay, we want to avoid stress throughout this whole process. Being in school and being in university is already stressful as is, so you want to reduce stress in the process of being productive, and part of that is creating a schedule for yourself. Very, 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 very important. All right, my next tip for you on how to be productive is find the study group that works for you. I like to use Pomodoro, but I don't do it like any other normal person does it. I don't do the whole 45 minutes and then 5 minutes off or whatever. I usually do 50 minutes, maybe 55 minutes on, and then maybe 5 to 10 minutes off. And then once I've done that about 3 or 4 times, then I'll give myself like a half an hour break. That's usually how I do the Pomodoro, and I think it works for me. Finding that optimal study technique is really important, because as you use the study technique, you will be able to get a lot of work done. When I do my 50-minute Pomodoro sessions, I know that's usually if I have a problem set that I need to go through, I'll try to finish like one section of a problem set in 50 minutes and then review the answers for the next Pomodoro. Or if I know that I have an assignment, I'll try to finish like half part 1 or half of this research paper or half of this essay or whatever in this first 50-minute block, and then in the next review and all that stuff. So breaking things down into like 50-minute blocks or 45-minute blocks or whatever makes it really nice, because then you kind of get to see that if I am giving myself about 8 hours, I'm gonna have about 8 50-minute blocks to do the work. Get that study technique that works for you and that works with your schedule and the time you've allotted yourself to study and work. This is important. The next tip I have for you, really basic but cannot be slept on: eliminate distractions. Absolutely eliminate them. When I am in the groove and I'm studying, my phone is far away from me. I can't touch it. I have a MacBook. I mute important conversations in iMessage so that they don't ping and ping and ping and distract me. We all know how it is when you are studying and then the group chat is popping off and now you're in the group chat and next thing you know, 30 minutes have gone by and you've just been texting and responding to messages and not doing your work. I don't think the people in my life even know this, but I mute the important people in my life when I'm really trying to study so that I don't get distracted by those notifications, because I don't even want to see that they've messaged me if I accidentally open my notifications that are on my MacBook or on my phone. So I mute those conversations for the time being. I delete the social media apps that suck up all my time. I am obsessed with TikTok. Like, it's bad. It's a really bad habit. I do have screen time, but sometimes I'll overpass the screen time, okay? Sometimes I'll just be like, remind me tomorrow or something, and I'll keep scrolling. But when it's crunch time and I want to get a lot of work done, I am deleting those apps off my phone. I am not even touching my phone. I am muting conversations. I'm doing everything I can to eliminate distractions. And that might even mean not checking your emails. If you know that you get a lot of emails that they always require responding to, sometimes you need to remember that when you're in uni, your priority is that you are a student. At the end of the day, you're a student. Whether you're in 1,000 extracurriculars or have all these other things to do, you need to remember that your job first and foremost is to be a student and to perform. So you want to eliminate those distractions. So maybe that means that for the time you're studying, you're not checking email, you're not answering messages, you're just working, and your breaks can be to just get some fresh air, walk around your house, stretch, and not go into these things, because that's how your 5-minute break or 10-minute breaks becomes consumed by your social media, and then you go over that break, and that's not good. So eliminate those distractions. It's really overlooked upon, but you really need to focus on eliminating distractions if you want to be productive. Now, there is no point on trying to be productive if the work you're going to be doing is poor quality and just rushed, which leads me to my next tip. Do not be afraid to readjust your schedule or readjust your to-do list. This is why it is really important to make a realistic to-do list. If your to-do list is not realistic, what's going to happen is that you're going to have all these things you've listed down that you want to do today or while you're studying, And then you're gonna realize near the end that you're not gonna have time to finish all this. So you need to have a realistic to-do list. The more realistic your to-do list is, the better chances you have at actually getting it done. And that said, if you've now created that realistic to-do list and you still find that maybe the last thing or the 2 last things on your list aren't going to be able to get done today, don't be afraid to readjust it. And what I mean by readjust it is just take those items and move it to another day where you know you'll have time to do it. This is why it is important to prioritize. When you're making a realistic to-do list, prioritize what needs to get done first and then keep going from there. If something is due like the next day or in a few days, then you want to make sure that that's what you're focusing on. So when you make a realistic to-do list, prioritize the action items and make it realistic as to what can get done in that day, so that afterwards, as you're working on them, when you realize that, oh, maybe the last thing on my list I can't get to today, just readjust it. Don't be scared to readjust. When I started to understand that it is okay to readjust my to-do list, it took off a lot of stress and pressure, because what would happen before I realized that it's okay to readjust my to-do list is that I would be in the groove, I'm doing my work, I'm studying, I'm getting that work done, I'm being productive, and then I would realize, OMG, I'm not gonna have time to do these last 2 things on my list, and it would stress me out and I'd get all anxious, and then I'd start rushing through everything to try to get to it, and then the result would show that I rushed through it. So I learned that it is okay. You can take those items and you can move it to tomorrow or in 2 days when you know you'll have more time to do it. And it's just stress-free, it's out of sight, and now you feel like you've done something. When you don't readjust your to-do list according to how things are going, and when you don't adapt to new circumstances, you're going to feel really bad about yourself when you see your to-do list at the end of the day and realize, oh, I didn't even get through half of it, or I didn't even get to do these last 2 things, and you're gonna feel terrible. Save yourself from those situations and learn to adapt to your circumstances, adapt to what's in front of you. If you realize that you are running out of time, readjust your to-do list. It is no big deal. This is why it's important to have a realistic to-do list, but in that realistic to-do list, if you need to readjust it, it is all good. Do not worry. And now the next tip I have for you is to treat yourself. Do not forget to treat yourself. This is the best part of being productive, in my opinion, because after all that work and after putting in the work and after being focused so intensely, treat yourself. And this doesn't have to be big and it doesn't have to be small. It can be what you like. Sometimes to me, treat yourself just means watching 2 or 3 episodes of Gossip Girl that night because I am watching that show for the first time and I love it. Or it just means, you know, getting to call your friends and actually just talk and banter and laugh for longer than you typically would because you've earned it. It is really important to reward yourself when you do good, because this will push you to keep doing work, all right? This will push you to keep doing that work, keep being productive, so that you can continuously reward yourself, and it's just good, okay? It's a good thing on the mental, because at the end of the day, studying really hard for a long amount of time and just focusing for that long is a mental game, and you want to reward yourself at the end of this mental game so that you're not drained and then just there's nothing out of it. Treat yourself, treat yourself, treat yourself. Maybe that means ordering your favorite thing on Uber Eats at the end of it, or maybe that means giving yourself the weekend off that coming weekend because you've earned it and you got all the work done. It can be whatever you want, but do not forget to treat yourself. If you're not treating yourself, it just makes it not that great when you go through all this work and you do everything and there's nothing at the end of it. I understand that it's not every day that you're gonna give yourself a grand treat, but just something little every time will help getting through it. All right, and there you have it. Those are my tips on how I stay productive as a student. I hope you guys like this video. I have tons more tips for you guys on productivity. I could talk about this for hours, but for now, this is all I'm gonna give you guys. If you wanna find out more on productivity, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, please, please, please like this video and just subscribe to my channel. I'm new here on YouTube. I'm still trying to build my community, and a like and a subscribe would be truly, truly appreciated. But that's all I have for you guys now. Thank you, and I hope to see you guys on my channel again soon. Bye.